Kathy and I are here to share with you. We're so excited to share about our DES alignment goal deployment for fiscal year 25. Next slide, please. As a reminder, the elements of DES are alignment, improvement, and readiness, and it's the air that we breathe. Today, we're focused on alignment element of our system, and we're going to talk about the annual enterprise goals and how each team sets their goals for daily actions that support the organization. Next slide. Every time you kick off goal deployment, you should always think about reflection and make sure you think about what have we done last year, what can we celebrate, give praise and recognition, and that helps really get people motivated. So make sure and think about your lessons learned. How can we be grateful for what we have done this past year, and then what are we going to do going forward? So on the next slide, we're going to show here our health system overarching goals. So as you can see, our alignment lanes impact the larger mission. We have culture as our bedrock, which is formerly known as the people lane. We have our efficiency that gives us a strong foundation for the future, and our clinical delivery pillars are service, quality, and access. So you can see how our alignment lanes line up really well with our overall goals with our strategy. So on the next slide, we're going to show you the Tier 5 goals for fiscal year 25. Now, if you're a leader in our organization, you probably attended or watched the video from the August Connecting meeting where Brendan shared these FY25 enterprise high-level alignment goals. If you didn't catch it, I'm sure you watched the video afterwards. Brendan explained this really well during this meeting. And actually next month in September, we're looking forward to the subject matter experts. They're going to share details with us about the what you can do to make a difference in quality, service, access, culture, and efficiency. So make sure you tune in for that. On the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about how goals are deployed. So the objective is to cascade the goals throughout the organization. Make sure that your team is doing what you can do to make a difference in the overall. So Tier 5 gives us the overarching, where are we going? What do we really want to do? Mid-level leaders, they set goals that will impact their areas, what they have influence over. How can they support the processes that will really make a difference? And by the time we get to Tier 1, it's looking at what can I contribute on my daily actions to this goal. So we have Kathy Lyons here as a clinic leader, and she is going to share how their clinic set their annual goals for fiscal year 25. Next slide.
Thank you, Carrie. So I look at my job as a Tier 2 huddle leader is to take the entity goals and really break these down into understanding for the supervisors and office managers who are going to roll these out to their Tier 1 huddles. Once we have talked about it, we really break it down to our part of the entity, which is ophthalmology, ambulatory clinics. And my question always to the team is, what focus area under each of these alignment goals, now that we understand where our part lies in these, what could we impact? So we were looking particularly at the finance goal because that is top of mind right now for the entity. The last 2 years, our goal has been copay, and we focus for all of our clinics heavily on the collection of copays. So we went from an average of 71% to 95% or above the entire last year. So we were successful, and now we're transitioning to maintenance mode for that by continual tracking and reporting. So what was next? We know that there are two ways to impact the budget. We can increase revenue and we could decrease expenses. So we really had to think about these in terms of our department and our role in the department. Two of our members, Riley Thomas and Juan Arias, had gone to Greenbelt training and had focused on decreasing prior authorization denial rates. So they brought their report to our team and really gave a deep dive into what they discovered. And when they said that 0.5% of claim denials is equivalent to approximately $600,000 in collections, all of the supervisors had a light bulb moment and began having collaborative discussion on what piece of this their team had impact on. My role in this, as they're having the collaborative discussion, is to ensure that the goals they're thinking about and setting are SMART goals. Next slide, please. So SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, timely. So each leader of a group began thinking about their process. Shiley has their own call center, so they need to do their part. Enter the insurance, check eligibility, attach referral. We also have our own prior authorization department within the department. So they needed to be able to consistently be able to review the prior authorization queue to ensure that auths are attached or not needed. Registration specialists that we have within our department need to review the queue prior to the appointment, pay attention to the red and yellow flags, ensure everything is correctly there, fix it before the day of the appointment. Front desk, patient coming into the office, ensure nothing has changed, make sure the demographics, everything that we need is properly entered, and collect the copay. The technicians in the back office with the providers, if the provider needs something that wasn't anticipated, we do a lot of our own diagnostic testing within the clinic. We also do high cost medication, retinal injections. They need to make sure that there's a prior authorization present before those are done. They're also responsible for ensuring the providers sign the charts and the orders, and to do a quick check of the diagnoses, make sure that they're there at the end of the clinic. The front desk, when the patient is checking out, needs to attach the referral that's been created for the next appointment so that this whole circle can continually happen. And the leaders need to track progress of their teams. They need to cheerlead success, review setbacks, support, and ensure that their staff knows where they're at to what their goal was. So every team member has to commit to every other team and every team member. We're each other's safety net. Next slide, please. So here is our SMART goal formed with the team. The tier 1 leaders took this goal and now they've developed their goals for their teams. Our goal is so interdependent that it really is an office-wide goal. It's attainable. We have our threshold there, and we like to give pizza parties when we hit success. Back to Carrie. Next slide, please.
Thanks, Kathy. What a great illustration of what we call catchball. It's called catchball because it's kind of like tossing a ball back and forth. What ideas do you have? What can I contribute? What can you contribute? If we all do this and really look at what we impact for the entire organization, then we can really make a difference. Even that little 0.5% makes a huge difference. So if we really keep that in mind, we're going to all be able to really make a big impact. On the next slide, we have one other small example of a quality goal for inpatient. So this is taking the top 10 in Vizient, and then at tier 4, they really want to look at certain domains that are going to make a difference in their area. Tier 3 is going to say, oh, we want X amount of units to reach a certain area. And then tier 2, they're really looking at, in my area, where do I need to get better? And then tier 1, you can see tier 2 may have completely different areas under them. And this happens a lot in our organization because we have pretty big portfolios and kind of complicated reporting structures. So one area may need to look at cleanliness and quietness, and they look at the data to see, is this really what we want to focus on? A med unit might want to look at falls, and an ICU unit might want to look at cardiac collapse. So this just shows how we take big picture things and break it down to the front line to where they can make daily actions that support. So we have an example from an ambulatory there, and then here is our inpatient example. And just reach out to us, our DES coaches. We have a number of people that are here to help you. You can send me an email and I'll get you connected. So if you need any kind of support through this process, we're here for you. So on the next slide, we're going to finish out with some annual planning tips. So discuss with your team, as Kathy illustrated, what is the purpose of aligning to our enterprise goal? Look at where you're going to impact this goal. There's a few steps here about how you can measure or how you can look at that, but really engage with your team to create that DES alignment goal in the areas of quality, service, access, culture, and efficiency. So coach your team on their contribution to the goal. How are we going to work together? Kathy really illustrated that, and it's probably going to look different in every single area. And of course, if you need support, we're here for you. Please reach out. But here's just some tips, and I know this will be recorded so you guys can come back and look at it later. And we just want to make sure that you guys have all the information you need and whatever support you need in order to set your annual goals.